Marisha. Hello everyone and welcome to this special presentation by the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College, here to present information to you on our new program offerings for the 2020-2021 academic year, and also to walk you through our application process. As we know, this COVID process has brought us new dimensions, and we are working through it. My name is Natalie Jolie Fanis, and with me here today are two members of staff of the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College who will be walking us through the entire change that has occurred within the college, and will be apprising you of the changes and how you can maneuver through our new application process. Our first guest this afternoon is the manager of one of our new departments, the Institutional Effectiveness and Transformation Unit, and her name is Dr. Kathy James Springer. And Dr. Springer will be telling us a little bit about herself, just to start off with, so you will learn a little bit about our staff members as we engage you over the next few weeks, bringing you information from the college. So, Dr. Springer, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you.
And I know you've been employed with the college for a while. You're in a new role now. Can you just give us a little bit of background as it pertains to your professional life?
Okay, thank you very much, Natalie. I'm very happy to be here. In terms of SAFA, I won't say how long I've been at SAFA, but just to say that I have been in many different roles at the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. I began as a chemistry teacher, and I stayed at that position for quite a while. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed teaching, and I continue to enjoy teaching. Then I went away to study for a little while and came back, and I served as the Quality Assurance Officer of the college. And now I am the manager of Institutional Effectiveness and Transformation Unit. What we do at the unit is very important to the college and generally. We look at development of programs, we look at the quality assurance processes, and we also do institutional research and information management, all of which are key processes in any university to ensure continuity, to ensure credibility out in the public.
So I know you fast-tracked to what your department does, but in terms of your own qualification, how did that lead you to the position that you're in now?
Okay, I always like to say this is a good story for me, because starting off as a science teacher gave me a sort of a base and a curiosity as to how do you teach and make teaching interesting, because science has to be one of those very, very abstract sort of subject areas that you teach, and you always have to keep thinking on how to make the instruction a little bit more interesting. So what it did was actually have me really try to design instruction in a way that my students could get interested, that my students can leave with something that is long-lasting and not necessarily only book knowledge. And because of that, I ended up studying science education, which is another dimension of it, because it has you look at the science curriculum and how you could use that science curriculum to move forward in your teaching. Having done that, again, when the college started its initial transformation process, thinking about transformation, I was very involved in some of the committees that actually started that process. And because of that, it got me interested in that field called instructional design. And part of it is also because I had done some of my master's degree in an online environment, and some of it is a mixed mode sort of master's degree. And because of that, it really got me interested in online instruction and those sorts of things. So moving from that, I applied to Fulbright, to the US Embassy, and I was awarded a Fulbright scholarship. And that Fulbright scholarship led me to actually finish my PhD in instructional design and technology. And so a lot of my thinking, a lot of what I do right now is really in vogue, if you want to say, because online instruction is the way we're going now. We have no choice in that matter. Also, the fact that the college itself is retooling itself as in terms of programming, that along with my experience with my PhD also has helped me move that process sort of forward.
So again, you've just brought it together for me, because that's one of the reasons I asked you that question. Given our current environment, we're saying post-COVID, but we're really not post-COVID. Tell us now about the movement that the college will have to go through in terms of just adjusting and looking to the future as the way to go.
Okay. We appreciate that the last semester has been sort of remote emergency sort of teaching. And what we had faculty do essentially was get online and try to finish up the semester in any possible way they can, trying to connect with the students and get the students to the end of the semester achieving those learning outcomes that we expected in the beginning. So this process has taken place. What we have done now, and with my office as well, we've collected a lot of data as to what it is that people are thinking, how would they feel about moving forward in terms of the modality that we took for the past semester. And what it has said is that people, as much as it was something that people did, they know they had to do it, but it also is telling us that we need, as a college, to do some work in terms of getting people to really be doing online teaching. And so the thrust of the college moving forward is to have a quality online instructional delivery. And so we're looking at next semester. Obviously, we're still in that tentative position where we're not sure exactly what is going to happen with COVID. And so the college itself has to plan for the future. We cannot be left to surprise, essentially. So we are planning for the future. And our plan is that a lot of our instruction is going to go online. It is something that we have to think about despite COVID. It's not a COVID response. It's something we have to think about despite COVID. We have to think of the way the world is going. We also have to think that we may be in other situations where we have sort of catastrophes and disasters, where we continuity for the college, how do we continue? So this in a sense has been a sort of a positive experience in that way. It has had us reflect on what we are doing and thinking about the future and how the college is going to go. So we are thinking of it as a way of building resilience, essentially, for the college.
Great, thank you so much for that. So primarily our function here is really to bring the public up to speed on how we are going to proceed in the 2020-21 academic year. And you've spoken to that in terms of us looking to offer online or be ready for face-to-face, which is always the ideal. So in giving information, there are quite a few people who don't know what the college offers. Yes, even in terms of certification. Some people do because they do the research, but we have a large number who don't know or who think they may not even be able to qualify. So can you start off by telling us about the levels of certification that the college offers?
Okay, the college offers, and this is something we've been offering for a long time. We've been offering certificate programs, and these are usually about a year. And these people are able to enter the college. And the idea is that if you do a certificate, maybe you could go out and come back in and join as an associate degree, which is a two-year program. And we are well known for our associate degrees. The Division of Technical Education has had associate degrees for many years since the college has opened up. Nursing department has actually had an associate degree for a very long time, and now they are actually moving to our bachelor's degree programs. The bachelor's degree programs are four-year programs that are going to be offered by I say going to because we are very proud of the bachelor's degree programs we are developing at this point in time, and nursing is our first jump off in terms of offering the bachelor's degree.
Okay, so great. So these are our levels of certification. The college has gone through a process of rebranding, and as most persons would have seen, that there's been a change in the logo where we have embraced everything Sir Arthur, his image as well as his name. But beyond that, the motto has changed, and we're now reflecting on 3 pillars. Can you speak to that and what they mean towards our programming and how it is going to affect that?
Okay. It's an exciting time, I believe, for the college in terms of what we are thinking, what the image that we would want to project of ourselves. We would like that image to be current, contemporary, and relevant to the times that we are facing. So the college is now looking at these 3 pillars of sustainability, innovation, and entrepreneurship. In each instance, again, we're looking at relevance. Sustainability, we would like that our programming also reflects a lot of these 3 pillars. So as we work to change over our programs, we are very deliberate in actually trying to incorporate these pillars into everything that deals with the college. So in terms of sustainability, a working definition of sustainability usually deals with looking at the environment, looking at the environmental protection, the economic growth, and social inclusion. So normally we just hear the word sustainability and we don't think too much about what that means. So in every aspect of the college, what we are looking at is thinking about deliberately that idea of environmental protection, economic growth, and social inclusion. And when we start talking about some of the new programs, you could see how the changes have, this has impacted the changes we have. In terms of innovation, this one is always a really difficult one to capture. When people define innovation, there's several things that come to mind, and one of the definitions is of thinking about new things, ideas, and a way of doing things. So we're not only thinking of innovation in terms of a way of doing things, we're looking at processes, products, and services that are delivered as a way of showing that innovation is taking place. So it looks at practices and those sorts of things within the college that we have to think about and we have to change as we go along. Entrepreneurship, this one was really, is really one that is very, very broad. And when we were discussing this with some of our faculty, one faculty member indicated, we always think about entrepreneurship in one way, and that means getting people towards building, towards ownership of businesses and those sorts of things. But it really has more than one dimension. And so when we looked into it, some of the things that were important is the idea of creating something new, so the idea of creating economic activity, which is the normal one, but also that sort of mindset of exploiting new opportunities and actually exploiting new ideas and innovations. So all these 3 things, when we looked at it, all of them are related. And so these are the foundations that we look in terms of our new approach to Sir Arthur Lewis Community College, incorporating sustainability, innovation, and entrepreneurship.
Okay, so these are the pillars that we have based all of our programs on. So we are really here to inform the general public as to what our offerings are for the next academic year. So can you walk us through all of the options in terms of what our citizenry can apply for in terms of qualifying and in terms of what is available at the college?
Okay, so we begin with looking at the bachelor's degrees. As I indicated, we are very excited that we are able finally to launch some of the bachelor's degrees that we've been talking about for very, very many years. The Bachelor of Science in Nursing actually began in March. The first cohort of students were taken in March, and these people were waiting for quite a long period of time. And so we will continue to offer the Bachelor of Science in Nursing, and this is very important in the sense that this is the entry qualification for nurses, and it's been on the books for years, but we have never, as our local institution, been able to reach that benchmark. So reaching that benchmark is a really big milestone for us. Additionally, come August 2020, we will be offering the Bachelor in Education. The faculty have been involved in development and are ready to launch this bachelor's degree. So we look really, really forward to the launch of our new bachelor's degree program it come August 2020. Of course, again, we've said that we have several associate degrees, but what we have done is actually changed some of our programming and to reflect again what we were talking about in terms of the pillars. We want to be current, we want to be relevant, we want to be modern in what we do. So there are several programs we have put under what is called the Digital Humanities and New Media and Creative Industries. We have been offering digital media as one of the courses, and now what we have done is essentially broken this digital media into two specializations, which is animation and front-end
web
development. Right. We've also introduced two new programs which deal with media and communication, as well as creative industries and events management. So under digital media, we are looking so forward. I've been speaking to some of the writers, and I myself am very excited about some of those offerings. Under the engineering and the circular economy, we are looking at a new program, which is called Information Management and Communication. I hope I have it correct. We have also renamed what used to be the Department of Health Sciences, Health, Wellness, and Human Performance. And we are launching our new associate degree in Public Health and Health and Wellness. In the socials, we have also renamed what we normally call the Social Sciences, Social Science and Knowledge Society. Under this, we have a new program, very exciting, very relevant, which is called the Environmental Studies and Climate Change. And just by the name, you could understand the significance of this program. Science, technology, innovation, and sustainability, always a mainstay. STEM is something that is current, that is needed, that people need to understand. And even as we go into the digital age, we understand that the backbone of this sort of programming is actually STEM. In business, we have two new programs, Business Innovation, Sustainability, and Entrepreneurship. We are looking at an associate degree in sustainable business and an associate degree in digital business and economy. So exciting stuff in terms of what we are looking forward to. And I think later on in a few weeks, people will be coming in and talking more specifically to this programming. We're also looking at sustainable tourism and hospitality. Our tourism programs have been well subscribed for over the many years that they have gone. So what we have done is basically had a review on some of these programs to make them a little bit more relevant and a little bit more current. Our teacher education, as mentioned, we are rolling out our new bachelor's degree program. So this is our exciting one for this program. And within the agri-entrepreneurship, climate smart agriculture, we are also rolling out what is called an agribusiness entrepreneurship program.
As you're on teacher, let me just interrupt you. Mm-hmm. Is there still, I know people have asked about the, we have the primary education and the secondary education. The bachelor's degree, is it in one of these areas?
It is in primary education, and the difference between the bachelor's degrees that are normally offered in primary education, in this case, the students will actually be specializing in different areas. So they will be given a choice of specialization in social studies teaching, language arts teaching, and science and mathematics teaching. So on the base, because we know that primary teachers tend to have to teach widely across the curriculum, on the bottom part of the first 2 years, the teachers will be expected to cover a wide range of content. But as they go higher into the degree, the expectation is that they specialize in various areas which they may be interested in.
Okay, so before we continue with the rest of our associate degrees, we need to take a very short break, and we will be back to give more information. And thank you so much for staying with us. There's a lot more information to give, so please continue to remain with us here at NTN.
In mitigating the possible spread of COVID-19 into our communities, The following tourism-related health and safety protocols must be observed during the deployment of taxi and ride-share services. Drivers must wear a face mask at all times. The official COVID compliance obtained through the Ministry of Tourism must be displayed when on duty. No shaking of hands. A gentle nod or elbow greet will do. Hand sanitizer should be offered to guests prior to entering the taxi. Electronic methods of payments are encouraged as an alternative to cash transactions. All guests must keep their feet on floor mats and wear a face mask throughout the journey. Drivers should sanitize hands before and after any possible contact. Installing a plexiglass is highly recommended as an added layer of protection. For more information, operators should visit the Ministry of Tourism's website at www.salutourism.govt.lc or call 468-4603 or 468-4628. This information is brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism in collaboration with the Department of Health and Wellness. Securing lives, restoring livelihoods.
Welcome back to the NTN studios and to a presentation by the South Louis Community College. Here telling you about their new program offerings for the academic year 2020-21, all the many changes that have happened. And we were speaking with Dr. James Springer, who was going through the associate degree programs in our last bit of conversation, telling us about the renaming of those programs. Dr. Springer, even before you continue telling us, I know that some people are used to the mold that we had before in terms of our subject offerings. Can you just reassure the public that the areas that they are used to are still embedded within the new programs, the new naming and everything else? Just give them a sense of, even if the divisions have been changed to disciplines, that the same program offerings are there with added value.
Okay. This is a really interesting comment in the sense that it may look different, but it really isn't. One of the reasons for actually changing up and doing these sorts of specializations is to sort of streamline and make our programming a little bit more efficient. And so what we are used to, so let's take, for example, business, because we get questions about why business and sustainability. The fundamentals of business remain the same. And as we are doing the review of the programming, there's some courses and some areas that as long as you're doing a business degree, you just must do them. And so these things remain the same. However, the added value has been, again, to speak to the pillars, to see the relevance of a lot of the programming that we are doing. So in other words, if somebody comes out of South Louis Community College, the idea is that either they are able to fit nicely into another program at another university, or they can use these skills immediately as they go out into the world of work, things that are relevant. And taking for the example, the digital business, this is where we want to go. This is where the country is going. This is where the world is going in terms of digital business, e-commerce, and those sorts of things. So it becomes even more relevant that a student coming out of this sort of program is able to fit directly into the world of work.
Yes, thank you very much. So I know you had a few more programs that we had not touched on yet. We touched on quite a few of the associate degrees, but I think there are a few more that you need to go through.
Okay, I think we've talked about it, but I'm very excited about what we're calling the modern language learning, because oftentimes the way people think about modern language is almost like an aside to doing everything else that we want to do. So you want to learn Spanish, you want to learn French as an aside, but we don't think about these languages and how they can take us throughout the world, essentially. In fact, that is one of the reasons students doing associate degrees have to do a modern language within the college, because the value of it is that the world has become almost one place at this point in time. And you may go somewhere, I mean, think about it. Martinique is right next to us. and we don't feel that connection. So the idea of the modern language learning is to make modern language almost a part of our life, a part of our everyday. And so some of the offerings that department will roll out would be looking at that idea of modern language fitting into everything. And so we have something called modern language and tourism studies, modern language and global business. And so you could see the value of somebody who actually has a good grasp of the modern languages, moving beyond St. Lucia, and even staying in St. Lucia, moving beyond that in terms of how they work. The other thing that is important also, we say the Creole. So we are looking at, and for years people have been saying South Louis Community College is St. Lucia's college, and there is no Creole. So we've decided, okay, to offer something in Creole, and so we're looking forward to it, and again to think of the modern language as part of it. Even as we develop some of the programs, we think how could Creole be included in there, because some of our professional programs, people actually have to go into the community and actually work in the Creole environment. So that is one of our exciting offerings as we move through in terms of programming. The other offering, I'll talk a little bit more about it, is a pre-college. And this pre-college is, again, an exciting offering in the sense that we are a community college, and the community college, always we must think of that idea of access to programming, access to what we have. Maybe I have dropped out of school and I would like to come back, and I don't have the necessary qualifications. And so we thought that pre-college could almost fill that gap. And we're very excited about that as well. The other area that we have not taken out, because in all the things I've mentioned, I haven't spoke specifically to the TVET offerings. TVET, again, is something that is here to stay. We all need plumbers, we all need electricians. And so what we've done is essentially taken it out of the division, but put TVET as a programming on its own. So we have a lot of big plans for how we could make TVET work for our society and for the college as a whole.
Excellent. So we have looked at essentially the range of offerings that the college offers, and hopefully all sectors of the society are hearing something that they could access. You spoke to people who did not meet the regular qualifications or the requirements of the college, given that second opportunity. And sometimes when you hear pre-college, people might just be thinking, is it for young people? What is it that we have for adult education specifically that we can speak to?
Okay, so as I said, the pre-college caters to all, essentially. It caters to both young people and it caters to mature learners. So say we are looking at people who may have been out of college for about 5 years or so. If people have been out of college for 5 years, then you can apply. The matriculation for the college is English and math. So we may have an issue in terms of you don't have that qualification. So you could join the pre-college. We go to, the programming is geared at that sort of level. The programming also is geared at preparing people for college life. Because sometimes it may not be that you don't have the subject areas. It may be that your maturity, you're not ready, you don't understand what it means to actually go into tertiary education. So that is also part of it in terms of the sort of preparedness for readiness for college and tertiary education that we are looking at.
Okay. Now, as you speak to preparation for college life, or preparation for even higher education. So we do offer bachelor's in 2 areas and associate degrees that can lead you to a bachelor's program. The new offering of the gateway, a pathway, a direct pathway that the college is facilitating. Can you speak to that?
Okay, another exciting area, the global gateways. And the idea behind global gateways is that students may matriculate directly into particular programs. The college has been in discussions with several partners, and what we are looking at is that a student going through a 2-year associate degree would be able to matriculate into a program. But this is only one of the benefits of the gateway. The gateway also has students involved in being involved in things, in seminars in preparedness for college life, in preparedness for work, in preparedness for many other areas. Additionally, what we are looking at is a sort of a design competition for students who participate in the gateways. So the design competition is the student would be required to do a proposal, and in that proposal actually design something and get a prize for it. Additionally, I'm just saying, additionally, the gateways are so much. We are looking at the idea of students getting an internship. Normally, our college programs have what is called a practicum, but the gateways, the students almost get two benefits in terms of that practicum. So you get an internship, and you also be able to participate in these design competitions. And important in terms of the design competitions is it's the idea that people can see real life in what they're doing. In other words, the education is just not so that I have all this knowledge. It's something that I can apply, I can see myself moving forward with, so I may get a big idea, and that idea may be taken up later, and it may be taken up something that makes sense for another company or those sorts of things. So the Gateways has so much add-on compared to our normal associate degree.
Thank you so much, Dr. Springer, for all of that information. And we want to say to the general public that all of what Dr. Springer spoke to is on our website at www.salcc.edu.lc. It's a lot even to summarize, but essentially I think the crux of it is that we really do, we are really the national tertiary institution that is trying to provide for different levels of education, in a wide range of programs. When I looked at the website, I think I saw almost 50 programs. And I know that your office has been working hard to make sure that everything is in place in terms of quality assurance. And I'll probably have to have you here again when we look to break down all of these programs. So I want to thank you for your time. We're going to take a short break once again, and who will be joining us next is Mr. Ian Minville, who is the Assistant Registrar at the South Louis Community College. Stay tuned.
She's been watching, waiting, wondering when the sands of time will give way to a tide of change, and for yesterday and today to become a new tomorrow, for a time when her sun can kiss the cheeks of your loved one and her stars can twinkle in her honeymoon skies, when her earthly embrace will reassure and calm your soul, and her unique view can change your whole perspective. Proudly, she has risen to meet new challenges and to provide safe harbor to all who reach her shores. For her hopes and dreams still stand shoulder to shoulder, a precious reminder of experiences yet to come. So, wherever your moments and memories take you, let her sense of adventure set you free. She is Saint Lucia. Let her inspire you.
Welcome back. We are here at the NTN studios talking about tertiary level education, particularly at the National Tertiary Institution of St. Lucia, the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. My name is Natalie Jody Fanis, and it's such a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon. And this time around, I am joined by another staff member. He is with the Registry's office, and they are the ones responsible for the application process, as well as many other services that are offered. They see the students in from the start to the end. So graduation, when students need transcripts to move to another tertiary institution, that is the office responsible. A lot on their shoulders. So with us this afternoon is Mr. Ian Minville, who's the Assistant Registrar, I think with special responsibility for records. But I'll let Mr. Minville tell us a little more about himself. And like I said, we take this opportunity to let the public know who works at the college and who's at making those decisions. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Ian, before we get into the business of Sir Arthur.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you. My name is Ian Minville, Assistant Registrar at the South Louis Community College. One of my overall responsibilities at the college is management of our student information system. This is basically our repository for all things related to students, like you said, from the time they apply to enter as a student of the college until they graduate, and even after they graduate, for example, they would still require services from the college, for example, a transcript, a letter, a replacement of a degree or something of that sort. And all that is handled by the registry.
So what is your background in information systems, since you're managing that?
My background is, well, I actually did a master's degree at the University of the West Indies, where I specialized in management information systems. Hence my close relationship with South Louis in terms of being that manager of that SIS, Student Information System.
Great. So I am sure when you joined the college, how many years ago? Do you remember?
7 years ago.
When you joined the college, we did a lot of paper-based stuff.
Yes,
and
yes.
Now we have a totally new platform that we are using where student applications are concerned.
Yes.
Yeah?
So this year, for the very first time, we actually have our application process. It's fully online. Like you indicated in the past, we used to go over to the secondary schools, hand them a physical paper where students used to, well, apply, come up to the college, drop in the application forms. And this year is coincidentally, COVID happened, but we actually had plans to go online even before the pandemic occurred. So we're fully online now in terms of our application process, and we'll go through the application process today so I could because it's a new thing, it's a new process, we could get people more familiar, the students more familiar with what the process entails.
So when you say fully online, does that mean I can go in and download the application, possibly fill it out? And
there is no downloadable PDF file to be completed as a hard copy and bring up to this college. No, it's actually online so to speak. For example, when you fill out the information being requested, it automatically updates. So we get that information instantly once you submit your application form.
Okay, great. So I spoke to the website earlier, but you can just remind viewers of where they need to go, and we can just start to walk them through that process, because like you said, it is new.
Yes.
And maybe you can just give them a sense of what kind of information is needed, and maybe a little bit of, I don't know if you call it troubleshooting. You know, sometimes with the technology,
yes.
there are issues.
Yeah.
So let's start with that process.
So our application forms can be accessed via our website, which is www.salcc.edu.lc. Once on the website, you would navigate to our admissions section. And while on the website, you should really take some time to just go through the various programs, assessing the entry requirements versus your own qualifications as well. For example, a lot of persons are at the CXC level right now. Most of our entry requirements are CXC based. For example, the general entry requirements are 5 CXCs, although specific areas require specific courses. For example, if you want to go into engineering, there is an emphasis on physics, some of it on chemistry as well. If you want to go into hospitality, for example, there is a focus on the foreign languages. You need to have a French or Spanish qualification to go along with your math and English and one other CXC to make up that 5 CXC courses that's required. So you go through academics, then you navigate to, once you click on that academic section, you go to apply now. Just slide up, right. Navigate to the apply now section. Again, we have our general entry requirements listed there. There's also an application guide that is available there, in case you want to know the various programs being offered and what you're interested in. Like you indicated earlier, we have about 50 unique programs, so you really need to take some time off to go through the various programs that's being offered at the South Louis this coming academic year. Once you click on that apply now button, you will be greeted with a security feature, a security feature. Basically, this is required for us so that we don't get any bogus application forms. We want only actual credible application forms. We do not want any spam application forms coming in, because you could imagine the amount of work it would lead for the college in the back end of the system. And One thing you should note for this security feature is that it's a combination of numbers and letters, and all the letters are capitalized. So that's an easy hint. In the event that you have this combination incorrectly, you would not be able to enter or to proceed with your application form. So it's very important that you get the security feature correct.
So we've started the process, and we will get people saying it keeps taking me back.
Right.
So that is usually one of the issues.
The reason is that they're probably not having the letters capitalized, or they're probably just entering something incorrectly. So you need to take some precaution when you're entering that security feature.
Okay.
Once you get that security feature correctly and you click on that submit button, the next screen would be asking you for basic information about yourself. Your first name, middle name, last name, telephone number. Please provide a working number that we could actually get you on. Your date of birth, and for the date of birth, the format is very important. The format that's been requested here is month, day, year. For example, somebody was born on the 4th of August would be 0804, and the corresponding year for that person's year of birth. Email address, again, important that you put in a valid email address, because that email address is how we would be contacting you thereafter. So once you put in that email address, we'll be communicating with you, back and forth with you via that email address that you've entered. So it's very important that you have access to that email. And right now, I think a lot of secondary school students have been using their parents' email address. It should be an email address, like I said, that your parents are constantly checking, because we are actually constantly sending information. For example, if your application form may be missing something, we would contact you via that media. Also, this will ask you for a PIN. Now, the PIN here, this is not a PIN that we're providing to you. This is a PIN that you're now creating in order for you to access the information system. So you're selecting your PIN. It's personal to you. You should keep it safe. You should remember it's something that you could easily recall, and something that would not allow other persons to easily access as well. Once all that information has been entered, you click on that submit button, and you would be greeted with access to the SIS, to the Student Information Portal, to complete your application form. In the first stage of the application form, you're being asked some personal information. Basically, you just fill out the required fields. Your first name, last name, middle name, gender. Your NIS number, if you do have an NIC number, feel free to put that in. However, for persons without an NIC number, you could just leave it out, leave it blank, that's okay. Indicate your citizenship, your address, and once all that information has been populated, you click on the save button. There is a save button at the bottom of the screen. You would click that save button in order to save that information which you have entered. The academic programs. All right. For the academic programs, I'm not sure if it was mentioned that we have 2 campuses, one at Mon and one in South in Vieux Fort. And based on the campus you select, you will be greeted with the programs available on offer at the respective campuses. So on my screen here, you would see South Campus and the programs available at the South Campus. This academic year, students actually have 2 options of a program to select. So, for example, somebody could actually, if there is a program that's being offered on the Mon and not in the South, you could indicate that. You could select accordingly. If there is a program that you want to access and it's being offered in the South, you could do that as well. In terms of the 2 programs, we would like you to select the program that you're of preference first. For example, if your program of preference is, for example, Sustainable Business and Innovation, we would like you to select that option first, because we want to know your first choice. Because when we're processing your application responses to the applicants, we're looking at the first choice, and then given probably for whatever reason they may not have made it into the first choice, we then look at your second choice and make a determination at that point. Educational background, you would see that link which says search by institution. If you click on that link and you just put in the word, if you click on that link, that would allow you to search our back end of all the schools currently on island that's within our database. If one thing that I usually tell students to do, When you click on that link, do not try to put in the entire name of your secondary school. If you put part of the name, you'd be able to get a hit, so to speak, if with just part of the name. For example, if you went to Castries Comprehensive Secondary School, you could just put Castries, or probably a better search criteria might be secondary. If you put secondary, you'd get a list of all our secondary schools coming up, and you select your appropriate secondary school. We're not interested in your primary school at this point, so we're just asking that you put in your secondary school, along with your entry dates, the date you entered, and the day you probably expected to leave, or the day you left. If you have your graduation information, if you have graduated previously, or you know your forecasted graduation date, you could feel free to put that information in there as well.
One of the questions we've been getting for the students who are currently in school and unsure of when their graduation date is, it doesn't have to be very specific.
Yes, that's correct.
So
if you have an idea of the month, or we're hoping that the year is definitely 2020, but if you have an idea of the month, feel free to put that. And in terms of the format for the dates, we're asking, for example, if it's September, we're expecting you to put 09 as opposed to the word September or letters. We need numbers to be inputted in there. Our next section is the employment. For persons who have employment experience, we want you to put that information as well. I'm not sure if it was mentioned earlier, but all of our programs has an internship component. So for persons who have some type of employment history, one of the easiest things to do might be probably to contact a previous employer in order to get some type of assessment during that internship period, or we could refer you back to that previous employer and get your internship done within that organization that you're already familiar with. For students who are in secondary school, for example, if they had a summer vacation where they were employed, for example, I believe the ministry usually hire a lot of temporary secondary school workers during the summer vacation. If you had that experience, you could put that in there as well. For persons who do not have any employment experience, you could leave that section out, and that is totally fine as well.
Okay.
Our next section is the references. For the references, we're asking that you put in 2 references, and we're asking that you put persons who have some idea of your academic background. For example, those persons would be, one, we're asking that you have your secondary school principal and one of your teachers from secondary school, because those are the persons who would have some general idea of how capable you are in terms of academics, in terms of your academic background. We do not want you to put the names of family members, relatives, and so on as references, because chances are, yes, your parent might be familiar with your academic ability, but when it comes to knowing your capability, so to speak, your lecturers, your teachers may be more acquainted with you in that regard. Our next section would be emergency contacts. Emergency contact, a very important field for us in the event that we need to contact the parent of a student or a guardian of a student in the event of anything happening. Sometimes even we try to contact a student, the cell phone numbers may not be working, so we default to their emergency contact in order to contact them or to make contact with them. Or in the event, unfortunately, you're a student on campus, something were to happen, there would be some type of emergency and we need to contact somebody, we know who to contact, how to contact them, and whatnot. So that is a very important piece of information that must be entered as part of the application process. Interest. Again, I'm not sure if it was mentioned earlier, but we have a number of clubs, a number of social clubs, a number of sporting clubs, a number of activities that actually happens on campus throughout the academic year. And listed here is all of our active clubs currently on campus. If you're interested in joining one of those clubs, we want you to indicate your interest at this point. If you're a current member of a sports club, group of some sort, we want you to indicate that as well. If you're interested in a club that is not currently listed there, and you become a student of the SALCC Lewis Community College, you could actually institute that new club or that new organization when you become a student with us at the college. Additional questions, the additional question section. And one thing I should have mentioned at the top of my before I started with the various screens is that we're requesting that you have certain documents even before, in preparation for your completion of that online application form. For example, we would need you to upload a passport picture. We would need you to upload a copy of your birth certificate. If you've previously done CXCs and you have those CXC results, we'd want you to upload those documents. And the format that's required is either a PDF or a JPEG format. And if you have, for example, you don't have access to a scanner, and you have a good cell phone, you could actually take a picture with your cell phone, or there's actually some apps that could actually scan a document via your cell phone. So we wouldn't want somebody to go over to get a passport picture, because even after you become a student, we would still have to issue you with a college ID card and whatnot. So we're not expecting you to go and incur any cost in order to facilitate that requirement or that aspect of the application form. So once you have those documents, you save it somewhere on your computer in order so that when you reach this section of the application form, you could now easily retrieve those files and upload them to the platform. So under the additional questions section, we just want to know some basic information. Have you ever applied to South Louis in the past? For example, we usually have a number of students who come in to do what is called access courses in order to meet certain requirements of various programs that they may be interested in. So, and at that point, they would actually have been a student of the South Louis Community College. So if you're in that situation, we would like you to indicate yes, that you've been a student or a prior applicant to the college. If you remember your ID number at that point, you could put that information in. However, if you don't remember that information, that is fine. We could retrieve it on our end as well. We'd like you to put in your country of birth, your citizenship. For persons who were born outside of St. Lucia, we will require them to upload their citizenship documents so that we have access to that, because there are implications when it comes to your tuition and the cost and the fees that you pay if you're not a citizen as opposed to you being a citizen. Your official language, we'd like you to put that in. And just some basic information about how did you hear about South Louis. Whether it was a Google search from your previous school, from a friend, from a family member, we'd like to collect that information as well. And just at that point, then you upload your various documents that we require: your passport photo, your birth certificate, your CXC certificates, or if you have your high school transcripts as well, that would be required at that point so that you could upload and give us access to that information, just to shorten our processing time when it comes to giving responses to students in terms of their whether they qualified to enter into the various programs that they would have been interested in. At the submit application form, one thing that applicants should be aware of, at that point, feel free to log off the system, have a discussion with your teachers, your parents, your guardians, whoever it is, because once you submit that application form, you no longer have access to that application form. It would now reside with South Louis on the admin end, and the student cannot come back into the system to make any changes once they have submitted. If you've not yet submitted, you have in your discussions with your parents, your guardians, etc., you could always log back into the system with the username and password. I don't think I mentioned that once you started this process, you would have been sent an email with an ID number and the password and the PIN that you've previously selected. So you would always have access to that information via email.
So you're saying that the application saves as you go along, so there would be a saved copy of your application?
Yes, it saves, yes. And again, like I said, in order to retrieve or to continue your application form, you would just go to your email, the personal email that you would have entered at the start, and then you would have a link. You would also have an ID number and a PIN, the PIN that you would have selected, and you could always access the system. However, once you submit your application form, that facility would no longer be available to you as the applicant. Once the application has been submitted, again, it now resides with us, and the applicant no longer has access, and this is the end of that online application process.
But we know that sometimes things go wrong and people want to make changes. So whereas they can't get into the application, what is the option for them if maybe they didn't upload something that they were supposed to, or there is a correction, maybe in a reference that they want to make? What if they need to make some changes?
Okay, so in that case, we also given applicants the option of, for example, like you indicated, if they did not submit a document, they left out the passport photo, they did not put in a reference, what have you, they could always send that information to us at the college via the email address registry@apps.salcc.edu.lc. Just let us know that you applied. If you could give us your ID number that you got in that email when you started that process, that would shorten our search time to locate your application form. And let us know the information, attach the information that you want to relay to us, and we will apply it and attach it to your existing application form.
Okay, great. So that they have that as an option. The other thing, when you said they submit, how do people know that the application was successfully completed?
Okay, on screen on my last slide, when you click on that submit button, you actually get a prompt on screen indicating, are you sure you want to submit? So it wants, are you sure you want to submit? Because again, the implications, you don't have access. And once you say okay, it says on screen that your application form has been successfully submitted. And I believe a number of persons have been complaining that they were getting some errors. Sometimes the errors are due to the number of persons accessing the site simultaneously. So if we have a large number of persons trying to do the same thing at once, then some of those persons would actually get errors. In those instances, you could just close off that page, get the information that was sent to you via email, and just come back, log back onto the system, and then you continue your process from there.
Okay, so you could always log back on.
Yes.
One of the scenarios that I've been hearing is that in the final submission, when they get an error, then they can't log back in. What does that say? In
those cases, those specific cases, the fact that they can't log back in, that means that the application form has been submitted and it's actually with us at that point.
Okay,
but persons could always feel free to double check. I know a lot of persons are anxious because, hey, whoa, I got an error. So they could always feel free via that same email address, registry@apps.salcc.edu.lc, in order to verify that we actually indeed received their information and we have the application forms.
Okay, Mr. Menville, can you just speak a little bit to the process thereafter? Because when the application is logged in with the college, it's not immediate that you get a response that you're accepted or not.
Right.
Give them a sense of what happens beyond that.
After the application form has been submitted, it's been received, and we are in. All right. In the past, we went with CXCs. So CXCs is our determining factor as to who gets in, who doesn't get in, based on whether you have the 5 CXC requirements, the other requirements, etc. What would happen, we would wait to get those CXC results, usually because most of our programs, you could apply even before you've written CXC. All right. So we wait, we get those CXC results, we assess the CXC results versus the entry requirements for the individual applicants, and at that point we make the determination. That determination is actually done by the deans of the various departments and divisions at the college, and the responses are issued through the registry department.
For individuals who have already written CXCs, the time frame is probably still the same.
Yes, the time frame is definitely similar. In terms of if you've already, there are some programs who actually you need to have your CXC requirements even before you apply. For example, the general nursing program, the teachers education programs, you would need to have your CXC even before you apply for entry. So for those two specific areas, we could actually give responses a lot earlier than, for example, the engineering programs, the sustainable development, the sustainable innovation, etc., those programs. So given the requirements of the various programs, we could now probably save some more time or bring the students in to actually begin the programs a little earlier. But generally, for persons who's leaving secondary school in the current year and applying for entry into the college, they would get it probably sometime in August, mid to late August, because we try to start the academic year by the end of August into early September. So they would get responses with enough time to get prepared for the academic year.
All right. We are due for a break. Our time is up. That was very fast. Just before we leave, the deadline for applications.
Yes, so the deadline for application forms are the 3rd of July 2020. We're asking persons to do not wait for the deadline. Please apply now. I've gone through the process. I've showed you what it entails. I indicated if you have any issues, how to contact us, what to do in the event that you got an error. We're sending you an email. We're communicating with you back and forth via that email address that you've put in. So please do not wait for the deadline. Please
pace yourself from
apply.
now.
Right.
Thank you so much, Mr. Minville. I hope that was informative for everyone. And like Mr. Minville said, we continue to remain available. Please visit the website at www.salcc.edu.lc. Has all the information that you need, as well as several communication tools that you can use to stay in touch with us. Thank you so much to Dr. Springer, who was with us earlier, and to the staff of NTN for facilitating this program. We are very happy that you stayed with us throughout the duration of this program, and we hope to see you next week at the same time when we'll be giving you more information of some exciting programs that the college is offering. Thank you once again.